Listen to an iTunes podcast without using iTunes? How do I listen to, download the files from a free iTunes podcast? The following question, how to download a podcast without iTunes, suggests that I open the RSS feed to get the audio links. The problem is that I can't find the RSS feed anywhere, just a view an iTunes link. Wanted podcast, this URL.
I found a tool at this website, this URL, which will tell you the actual RSS feed from an iTunes store link. For example, when given this URL, it returns this URL. The iTunes store, does not actually host or publish feeds. See here. Understanding the iTunes client and the iTunes store. When you submit your podcast, you are notifying it that you have a podcast feed that is located in a particular location, the feed URL. If your feed is accepted, it simply reads your feed each day and updates the podcast directory with any new or changed information about your podcast. Note that it does not cache or make a copy of your feed, nor does it cache or make a copy of your episode files. For podcasts, it is acting in a capacity similar to a web directory. When users find interesting podcasts in it, they click the subscribe button, causing the podcast feed URL to be copied from it to the user's iTunes client. The iTunes client reads the podcast feed that is located at the feed URL, then downloads the media file for the podcast's most recent episode from the web server where it is hosted.
You can go to this URL and download or listen to the podcast.
If you're looking for the URL of the feed that iTunes checks, right-clicking the podcast, but not a particular episode, and choosing Copy Podcast URL will copy the feed URL to your clipboard. Note, my iTunes is in Dutch, so the translation of podcast URL comparing might differ from your installation.
Found a forum post with the links, this URL. However, I'll accept any answer that shows how one can get the RSS feed from iTunes.com.
If you want to support the channel, please consider subscribing.